Okay, welcome back to part, I can't remember, 15 or 16, around about there. Remember last time we'd fitted the new starter motor, but we had no joy out of it. It wouldn't start, but shortened the solenoid out. The new solenoid burst it into life, so I don't think it's a solenoid because we've just replaced that, so it must be something to do with it, right? And this looks like a very complicated way of doing it for a Japanese bike, so we basically couldn't make out the tail of the wiring diagram. It's not easy to follow. I just found it easier just to actually start taking the bike apart and start back probing the connectors and actually work out what's going on. So actually what's happening, how this system actually works, this is some use. So that's the start there, black, red. Okay, this runs down here into here where it changes to black, bizarrely, for some bizarre reason. And then it runs to what is called the fuse box, or junction box in the diagram, but there's actually a relay in there, and that was what was fooling us. It's that relay that was clicking, not the solenoid, which made us think that the solenoid was bad when it probably wasn't. Probably the solenoid's absolutely fine. So that had us completely fooled. So that is clicking in there, right? So I didn't know whether the click means we're good to go, send power to the solenoid, or the click means the side stands down or it's in gear or something like that. So that sends us off on a wild goose chase. So the first thing I'm thinking is it thinks the side stands down. So we're messing around, cutting open wires that we've sealed up. So that's a real pain. We've had to do that. We cut that wire and that made no difference. That's the side stand switch. So that's made no difference. So either connecting it or disconnecting it made no difference to how the bike started. So it's not that. Okay, so we tried back probing the junction box and putting 12 volts onto the junction box, even though it was showing 12 volts, and then that made no difference. Then we ran a line from the junction box to the solenoid, fired it, and that made no difference. But bizarrely, we're reading 9.5 volts at the solenoid even without pressing the button, so that doesn't make any sense. Just as a random check, I just checked to see whether the solenoid was earth, and it's not, and there was our problem. This wire comes out of here and it's same colour as the earth, and I thought it was just a random earth in the loom, and I was going to use it to run the ancillaries off. That's actually the solenoid earth on a separate line. So if you earth that here, press the start button, it works. So what we're going to have to do is reconnect this back up. It looks like actually what this was here and this was is it's been cut out the loom, and someone's cut it bizarrely, and we've thought it was just spare earth, so we've connected it up. I'd like to keep this frame one anyway, so I think what we'll do is we'll just run this here, sort this wiring out and shield it all up, make it all nice and neat, run that to there, maybe run another earth over here to run the ancillaries off. I don't like too many connections on the battery, just keep them to a minimum rather than the connection somewhere else. And that should be good. We'll have to put everything back, sort this out, and everything back, and we should be good. We should be able to check for a spark then. So that's today's plan. We didn't plan on doing a bit of electrical work, but looks like electrical work it is. I'll put a boot on here and tidy this up. In fact, we'll run it to there, but I can't do it because I've got the wrong battery on. That's done. Tidy this up a bit. Now it's still a bit of a mess. We'll come back to that, I think, but that's all done. Grips back together. Solenoid's all back in. Okay. Wow. There we go. Even the oil pressure light went out. Excellent. Okay, but do we have a spark? Don't know if you can make that plug out there. That'll be no then. I have actually tested it. No, number 2 cylinder spark and number 1's not. So I just need to get to the bottom of that. So looking again at this why number 1 cylinder's not firing, so just check that we've got 12 volts of the coil, and we have. I've just run a quick check on the coil, and that is showing 3 and a bit ohms, so that sounds quite right on the primary. So I've just swapped the coils over, put the other coil on, tried it, and no spark. So that to me says it's the firing part of the system that's not working, so that is annoying. That's not where we want the fault, so that is a pain where that is going to be. I'm not quite sure what is causing that. Okay, quick look at the wiring diagram. Here's the coils here. The world's smallest wiring diagram. I don't know if that's focusing properly, but you can see that one coil is red and black, and one coil is red and green. So red is power, so black goes off to the TCI unit, and green goes off. Now I'm pretty sure we've got a white on there, and we've got the green connected to the temperature gauge, which is why the temperature gauge is going crackers when you turn the ignition on. So I'll just go back and check that now and put green onto that coil and connect it up right and see where it goes on. Yeah, we've got red and white here for the coils, so let's sort that out. Okay, let's try that. And there's a spark. Yep, sorted. I like it. Superb. We'll leave it there. I think that'll be the end of this video. Well done. What a success. Good point to end on. See you on the next one.